Thank you for joining us today for our next broadcast of CPS Live. We have a stellar lineup for you as usual. If you have any questions for our panelists during the presentation, you can enter them into the chat or Q&A panels, or use the raise your hand tool and I will modify your controls so you can unmute your line and ask it live. Without further ado, here's our MC, Mr. Tom Berkler.
Thank you, Lisa. You know, we get emails all the time that talk, they say, how do you people do this so naturally? Everything runs so smoothly every week. And of course, this belies the diplomacy that I have to exercise to get this show on the road each day. And this is no exception. I had Rob Reedy and Matt Anderson at loggerheads over an issue just before we got on the air. And to look at them now, I've got to give them credit. They're all calmed down and all boiled down to how much Matt Anderson has saved Rob Reedy over the last 10 years.
Significant.
Yeah,
Significant.
six to 9,000. All right.
$6,000 to $9,000.
Like
Helping out the Reedy family whenever we can.
You're gonna try to, Matt, you're gonna extend your ability to save people money today. You're going to alert us that many of the states, I think you mentioned 30 before we came on, are beginning to implement laws that require mandatory deductions from payroll for state LTC plans that really aren't any good, but can be avoided if they implement a private one that CPS is more than ready to offer that will do them well. Have I got you kind of kicked off? Is that the alarm bell? Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a firm believer in saving individual families money, not just the Reedies of the world, but all consumers of the world, as well as advisors of the world, right? So what have we seen in the past and what are we seeing as we move forward? Obviously, Washington was the first state that launched their payroll tax. And it all comes down to if individuals don't have long-term care coverage, and they don't have savings, they don't have income, who provides for care, right? The state eventually will take these individuals over and put them into a state-run facility. That's expensive to do, it's expensive care, and they're doing it for a lot of individuals. So states are looking at ways that they can try to raise money to pay for this care that they're paying for. And Washington launched the first plan. They launched a 0.54% payroll tax on everyone in the state of Washington. And that's going to be the rest of their lives as long as they work there. But in return, they get a $36,000 pool of money that they can use to pay for long-term care purposes. So the amount of pool of money that they're getting is really a token amount. It's not intended to resolve the issue. I would look at it as the reverse. It's intended to raise money to pay for the cost of care that the state is already paying. The good news is there's a way to get out of this tax. Washington, they gave the citizens of Washington probably a 6-month window where they could show that they got a plan in place before the tax was implemented. The biggest change that we're seeing across the board in all the other states is most states are considering doing a retro tax, meaning that if the bill passes on January 1st of 2025, they want to make sure you had a plan in place on January 1st of 2024. So a backdating method, meaning that the time is now to get a plan in place. If you wait for the bill to pass, it will almost assuredly be too late. So in an interest of saving everyone extra taxes, it certainly is a good time to consider doing some long-term care planning. And I'd say, particularly for advisors, right? Look at advisors. Most advisors are self-employed. And so not only would they be saving the new payroll tax, but they could also deduct a good portion of the premium based on their age. So it's actually 2 tax savings. And they can get a substantial amount of coverage in place for a relatively affordable premium, depending on what they're looking for. Something is always better than nothing. And the final thing I'll say is that Nationwide has launched a brand new plan that we're pretty excited about, Care Matters Together. And that's a joint long-term care plan on an 8-year chassis with a second to die death benefit. Very, very competitive for those clients that are couples looking to address the long-term care need. Turn it back over to you, Tom.
Matt, I'm thinking here, 1/2 of 1%, 0.45, doesn't sound like a lot of money. I mean, that's a few $100 on a $50,000 income. And I guess I'm thinking, is this something that it's so small, people are going to say, no, Matt, I don't want to hear you tell me to spend more money. I'm just going to go with the state plan. What would kind of the first response be that,
Yeah, so I think that when you talk about a new tax, the first thing you see is a bunch of like 20-year-olds trying to get a plan in place for something that's less than the tax that they would be paying. That's not the strategy here. We don't want to deal with those individuals. What we're looking to help is those that are making solid income. So if you're making $200,000 as a family, we're talking about a little over $1,000 of extra taxes per year indefinitely. If you're a business owner, you'd also be able to deduct, depending on your age, anywhere from $6,000 to $9,000 of LTC premium. So those two things combined, that would give us about a $10,000 annual premium that we could show them that would be tax advantaged, still receive tax-free benefits, and still have it be a meaningful plan, right? The state plan, the tax is not a lot, but it's the rest of your life, and it's $36,000, right? So you still need to address long-term care planning. $1,000 a year for $36,000 pool is just not a great value proposition in my mind.
I'm thinking, Matt, that if nothing else, this gets people thinking about it. They might come to you and you might say, yeah, on a $200,000 salary, it's only $1,000 a year. And, a private plan is going to be this much, but look what it is. You're beginning to expose the potential liability everybody's got that they wouldn't think about otherwise.
Right. So get them out of the tax, which is always nice, but we're really interested in people that are truly interested in doing proper long-term care planning.
Yeah.
Right. We don't want to provide people with a $36,000 pool. That's just not enough coverage. Right.
Yeah.
And so we're looking to protect assets and protect those that have income. And the best way to do that is a proper plan, which they would need to pay for.
Again, it's going to make people begin to address it that otherwise wouldn't have even thought of it. Matt,
Correct.
what's this new tax? All right. Obviously, you can call Matt, and you're willing as always to get on the phone with anybody and talk to them about this. How close is California to this tax?
Looking at 2025, but again, there's likely a 12-month retro tax. So you need to have something in place in 2023 to pass as early 2025.
Yeah. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. Steve Jones, haven't seen you in a while either. But Lisa and I, you proved to us that you've not been goofing off before we get on here. The matter of fact, you've not been goofing off. So one of the reasons you haven't been on recently. So, you and I talk a lot, Steve, about buy-sell agreements. And we talked about how these are so unidimensional in most agents' mind. They think about, well, what are you going to do to buy each other out in the event of death?
Yep.
And in fact, every specimen buy-sell agreement that you see covers any number of contingencies.
Yep.
And one or two is disability as well. And I know you want to take a couple minutes today to talk about how to insure against that in the event that your partner, who, especially if he or she is an employee as well, can be bought out economically if they become disabled under their buy-sell agreement.
Exactly. And thanks for having me today. Really appreciate it. It's good to see everybody. But like Tom was mentioning, the purpose of a buy-sell agreement is to provide a plan for the funding of a purchase of a business owner's interest in a company if something were to happen, to them. But usually when brokers hear the term buy-sell agreement, they immediately think of funding with life insurance. That is, one of the owners dies, there's money available to pay for the deceased owner's share of the business. And I would also suggest mentioning disability insurance if it's not already in the agreement, since the probability of becoming disabled during working years is quite a bit higher than that of dying. Now, funding a disability buyout agreement with disability insurance provides a source of funds for the purchase of the owner's interest in the company if they become totally disabled and no longer able to work in the business, and it provides that owner with fair compensation for their equity in the business. Ideal clients for this, it's usually smaller companies. I would say at least 2 owners, up to 5 owners, maybe sometimes 10 owners in certain situations. Professional partnerships and corporations. See a lot of law firms, medical practices, dental practices, and accounting firms, within that. Like I said, at least 2, up to 5, sometimes 10. But we do have one carrier that offers a one-way buyout in most states. Unfortunately, not not in California. But now the advantages to the business, pretty simple. Assures that the disabled owner can be bought out at an agreed upon amount. Assures a smoother transition of management of the company, and also assures that the current owners retain control of the company. Benefits to the disabled owner, assures a mutually agreed upon benefit for them, and also that disabled partner's financial future is no longer contingent upon the success of the company.
Steve, one of the things that you and I experience when we're working on a case where there's disability buyout is what we sometimes call the disability sticker shock.
Yep.
In fact, most buy-sell agreements are the life portion is done on the cheap because you've got a measurable period of time that you need to cover. They'll buy term insurance. Then Steve, you come in and quote them the disability, which is proportionately seeming much more expensive. Explain the greater likelihood that you're probably going to use that disability insurance versus the cheap term that they're buying for the death portion.
Well, depending on the age, you're going to be 3 or 4 times higher likely to die, to become disabled than you are to die. So that probability is quite a bit higher. So something happening to a business owner is more likely to be disabled than you are, to die.
Yeah. One of the things I appreciate too is that you and Tom coordinate with the attorney to make sure that what's promised under the buy-sell agreement is going to come at the same time that the disability policy starts paying benefits as well. It's easy to sit here and say, well, as soon as they seem to be disabled, we'll start paying them. And you all are willing to work with the planners in the case to make sure that you've coordinated the definition of disability under the buy-sell with the definition of disability and when payments begin under the policy.
Exactly. Now, most companies do not require a buy-sell agreement be in place during the application process, but they would need to have one at a certain time in the future, but definitely before one of the owners became disabled.
Yeah. We don't want you getting thrown in the slammer because you misrepresented anything, Steve, So
exactly.
Thank you. Again, you can call Steve. Thank you, Steve.
One more thing before I go, if I
Sure.
could. I'd also want to invite everybody to join Tom and I next Wednesday, the 19th at 11 o'clock Pacific time. We're going to have a webinar that's going to focus on disability insurance for business owners. We're going to focus a little bit more about disability buyout, business overhead expense, and also key person coverages. So thanks for your time today. Give me a call if you have any questions.
Yeah, and you've got Steve and Lisa Navarro's contact information there if you want to get the link to that. So, or the attendance, either one. So, Rob Reedy, if you like the quality of the shirt that Rob Reedy is wearing, Matt Anderson is partly responsible because Rob and his family are in a better economic position than they would have been normally. Rob, you're a multi-dimensional man, so sometimes life insurance protecting against death is not enough. You want to protect too against long-term care events. And you're going to talk to us today about how life insurance is increasingly providing options where it can kind of do double duty. And we've talked about this before, but you want to emphasize some things today.
Yeah. And I'll piggyback on what Matt said. Matt probably doesn't know this, but you mentioned the shirt. Matt actually showed me where to buy the shirt at a discount. So not only do you save me money, he shows me where to shop. So thank you.
I help where I can.
Exactly.
That's what I call a full service brokerage agency, So.
I know.
What a swell guy.
Yeah. So when it comes to life insurance with long-term care, or maybe long-term care in general, I truly believe that now is the best time in history to be looking at insurance-based solutions. And I had a conversation, well, about a week ago with a group of friends, and it led to insurance. And they're like, why would you have anything other than term insurance? And I shared the value of permanent life insurance with a long-term care rider, and the fact that if I need it someday, because I own it personally, I can access this permanent policy for the cost of long-term care expenses. And they were completely unaware of it. So I think the point is that many clients out there, that obviously they've heard of term insurance, they know it's, it's cheap, but they don't know the value of permanent insurance these days and all the different solutions that are out there, the policies and contracts that Matt offers, traditional long-term care, asset-based long-term care, but definitely permanent life insurance, where you can add a rider for very little cost and literally access that death benefit early should you need it to pay for long-term care expenses. So it's something I own personally. I shared it with a group of friends. They're very interested. It's probably going to lead to additional conversations. But like you said earlier, Tom, it's really all about the value that you can provide with many of these insurance-based solutions, including permanent life.
And where we've ramped up that feature, Rob, is in executive bonus plans.
Yeah.
People, ho hum executive bonus plans. Let me give my person here coverage until they retire. And we've demonstrated plans where we suggest permanent coverage with an LTC rider, have it paid up by the time of their retirement, and you send them forever into retirement, not only with the death benefit protection, but the ability to draw on it for LTC. So
what a great benefit that an employer can offer, not just life, not just cash value, but also a long-term care plan.
Yeah. And with executive bonus, if it turns out that proves a little more costly than the employer is willing to pay, there's nothing that keeps the employee, the executive, from contributing to the plan as well. So it can work out well. Thank you, Rob. I think what's most important here today is not only will Matt Anderson give you the shirt off his back, he will help you get a shirt on your back. And so
exactly.
And a good one too. Is it the Fashion Mall nearby that he recommended you go to? What's the name of that?
What?
Quality shirts, quality clothing at a discounted price. With some long-term care on the side.
Yeah. Fashion Island, I'm thinking of. So do we have anything in the chat box, Lisa?
We don't have any questions, but I did add the registration link for the webinar that Steve was referring to in the chat in case you'd like to register now.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Lisa, quick question. If someone wants to view this at a later date, can they access it on YouTube? Will it be available? Yes,
we have a YouTube channel where we post every single one of our CPS live broadcasts on there.
Awesome.
Hey, this has gone so well, I may want to view it. Lisa, any closing thoughts? Would you like to tell us how much money Matt Anderson has saved you over the years?
Oh gosh, well, that's an easy question. It's absolutely zero. So I'm kidding. I'm sure if I actually looked into the numbers, it would be a phenomenal amount of savings. But
I'll send you the report this afternoon, Lisa.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Folks, thank you for your business. Lisa, sign us off here.
All right. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.